We have some massive breaking news this morning as it has been announced that Rick Ware Racing is officially being sold to TJ Puchyr. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel and welcome back to your video. As I just said, we got some pretty massive and major breaking news this early morning as it has been confirmed that Rick Ware Racing is officially being sold. As reported by Jenna Fryer from the Associated Press, TJ Puchyr agrees to buy Rick Ware Racing with plans to build a 3-car NASCAR team. This is reported by her. One of the founders of Spire Motorsports entered an agreement to purchase a NASCAR team owned by Rick Ware and is jumping back into stock car series because he believes the current charters are grossly undervalued. TJ Puchyr, who of course has been in association with Jeff Dickerson in 2018, who launched Spire Motorsports back in the 2018 season, told the Associated Press on Thursday he and Rick Ware Racing have a deal for him to take over Ware's organization next season. There's also a lot more decisions that come with this as well. That decision jumpstarted, of course, the charter market, among other things. This is a massive, and really significant news. This means that Rick Ware Racing will officially be going away at the end of this year. He's basically taken over control of this team and organization. This is not something that I had heard behind the scenes, and this is not something that I had in my bingo card. I mentioned this with Spire. TJ Puchyr has been associated with the Spire Motorsports Group since the organization formed back in 2018, and we've seen Spire Motorsports grow into a really solid and a really strong organization over the last couple years, especially this year in particular. This has been the best season for Spire Motorsports this year. They've had really good speed. Carson Hocevar has been extremely strong this year in the top, I believe, in the top 25 in the regular season standings, and if not for some bad luck, he'd be in the playoffs right now with the speed and pace that he's shown, and could certainly be a threat for this weekend at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Michael McDowell, I believe, is around 20th in the standings right now. He's been having a really good season for the standards of that 71 car, and he's had chances to win a couple races this year. He's been super fast and super competitive with the number 71 team this season. And then, of course, you have Justin Haley, who I think has been the weakest link, but we also got to remember there's been a lot of changes that have happened over at that program and that team. They lost Ronnie Childers early in the season. They lost their car chief, Daniel Cheddar Smith, who went over to work with Ty Gibbs this season. And in a nutshell, that team has had some issues and has had some problems as well. Now, some other notes have come out from this as well. It was noted by Joseph Wrigley as well. In his deal with Ware, Puchyr will keep Ware on board as a partner and also keep Ware's son Cody in the number 51 Ford and retain all of the current Rick Ware Racing employees. So also noted as well in this article, it is the charters are worth $75 million or more. That is absolutely wild. And if I'm not mistaken, Rick Ware Racing is currently in a lawsuit at this point right now with the team and organization. So that is something very significant to note as more. But there's also a little more information that has come out from this article as well. Of course, basically, he actually, interestingly enough, it was noted in here that Puchyr actually sold his shares of Spire to Dan Towers, who's basically taken full control. And he's actually been consulting with multiple different teams, including Legacy Motor Club and Rick Ware Racing. Funny enough, Rick Ware Racing and Legacy Motor Club are currently in a lawsuit at this moment against each other. They're basically against a charter purchase for the 2025 season. And that's very interesting with the court hearings that are going on at this time. And speaking of the second charter, we need to kind of talk about this because Rick Ware Racing technically does have 2 cars out there, but they have a second charter that is being leased over to RFK Racing at this time. But since the fact they want to become a 3-car team, do they try to basically have that kind of fall through? That's something I'm kind of interested at this point. But they want to be a 3-car team going into 2027. So that's the other question. Will that charter from Rick Ware go over to RFK for 2026? That is something very interesting to kind of pay attention to as this situation progresses and goes on. But this is a major deal because when I think about Rick Ware Racing, I think they needed to bring someone in there to get that program up and running. I remember when this team was on the up and up. They were showing so much improvement in 2024. Justin Haley was having a really good season with that team. They were showing some really good speed. Chris Lawson was a crew chief over there, and I felt that Rick Ware Racing over the last couple of years, going from like 2022 to 2024, they were going from a complete back marker team to kind of being in the back of the mid-pack. But unfortunately, in 2025, that team has taken some major steps backwards. That team has not been performing at a very high level. They haven't had the pace and speed. Cody, and I think, unfortunately, a lot of that has to do with the fact that Cody Ware is the driver. They've got good people working over there. Tommy Baldwin Jr. works over with the team and organization. But the other thing we kind of have to pay attention to, they're looking to have, of course, 2 cars going into next season. There's been rumors about Corey LaJoie looking to maybe have some stuff in the Cup Series next year. I'd have to think this could be some association with that going into 2026, because again, as mentioned in the article, that they're looking to have 3 cars going into the 2026 season. So my question is, who would the drivers be? Again, as I noted, Cody Ware will continue being the driver of the number 51 car. I really don't think Cody Ware should be driving that car on a personal front. I don't think Cody Ware is really that good of a driver. There's no disrespect to him, but I think there's a lot of better drivers in the lower series that I think could be potential candidates. So if they're able to get 2 more drivers behind the wheel, could they choose Corey LaJoie? I think Corey technically still has a contract with Spire Motorsports at this point, so maybe that's something that they could do, is maybe get Corey LaJoie away from the Spire contract and bring him in, considering that TJ Puchyr played a major role of Jeff Dickerson over at Spire Motorsports for very many years. Could that be a potential possibility? We'll just have to wait and see. But the other thing is, if they do get a 3rd car for like 2026 and 2027, what drivers do they go after? Well, you got to think of the drivers that are part of the RFK Racing camp. If they can't find a way to keep Ryan Preece after 2026, could Ryan Preece be a candidate for this team? I think that'd be interesting, but I think Ryan Preece has earned the right to stay at RFK. He's been really good this season. He's been performing very strong with the RFK organization. He's really got a shot to make the playoffs this year, and there's been a few times this year where that number 60 car has shown race-winning pace and race-winning speed. And then you think about some other drivers in the lower series that are kind of in that alliance. I think of a couple other drivers, one of them being Sam Mayer. Sam Mayer, there was mention, I think, by Jordan Bianchi, I believe back in May, that Sam Mayer could have a play in the silly season market this year. Sam Mayer, in my opinion, I'm not sure if he's ready for Cup at this point, but I think if you're looking for someone who could come into that program, who's part of your Ford development contract at this point, Sam Mayer would not be a terrible option to go with. Yes, he's not won a race this season, but Sam Mayer would be someone that would be very interesting to look at. And then I think another name to look at is Sheldon Creed. Yes, I know Sheldon Creed has not won a race in Xfinity competition, but to be fair, Sheldon Creed is a very solid driver. He just can't get up there and pick up wins. But just because he hasn't won a race yet does not mean that Sheldon Creed is a bad race car driver. I think he's a decent race car driver. I mean, the guy won a Truck Series championship 5 years ago and won a lot of races in truck competition. And let's be honest, there were a few races last year, and I'll say even this year, where I think he should have gone to victory lane. I go back to that Darlington race in the fall when he drove for Joe Gibbs Racing. He was really fast and competitive there. So if you move Sheldon Creed up, I think that would be interesting. Outside of that, there are some other options that might be available. I think the silly season market is not too open currently at the moment right now, unless maybe like Daniel Suarez loses contract with Trackhouse, but I don't see Suarez leaving the Chevrolet pipeline anytime soon to go to a smaller team especially. So my question is, what other drivers could they be looking at that are on that market? Could they be going after someone that we don't know at this point? We'll just have to wait and see. But this is significant because I don't think anybody expected that this team was going to be sold to TJ Puchyr. This will go into effect for 2026. Things are going to remain normal for the Rick Ware Racing team for this season. Obviously, with the lawsuit going on, among other things, we've been paying attention to that. We know that Legacy is trying to get a 3rd car. Rumors are that Jesse Love could be a potential candidate for that 3rd Legacy Motor Club car. I think that's going to be something to definitely pay attention to as time goes on. Nonetheless, it's a massive story and kind of wild to see that Rick Ware Racing is being sold to one of the former co-owners of Spire Motorsports. Pretty interesting and pretty wild reports coming out today from the Rick Ware Racing team. So, that is going to today's special breaking news report on Rick Ware Racing being sold. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's go below that and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. What are your thoughts about Rick Ware Racing being sold? Do you think this organization will improve going into the future with new ownership? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. We've got Xfinity Series Race Fix dropping later today. We also do have a paint scheme video dropping today as well. Tomorrow, we're going to have the NASCAR news. We discuss the news around the Rick Ware Racing lawsuit, the penalty for Hendrick Motorsports that came out, some other stuff as well, some Dodge stuff around Nice Motorsports, some paint scheme announcements for Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch as well. We've also got other big news that's been dropping. We're also going to have the Xfinity Series race review, and we're going to have the Cup qualifying reactions, and then of course on Saturday we'll have the Cup race review, and we'll have the Truck Series race review as well, and then on Sunday we'll have silly season predictions for 2026. With this Rick Ware Racing stuff, that's kind of throwing a wrench into things at this point, doing, and we're paying attention to that as time progresses and goes on. We got a lot of content coming on people like Haley Deegan, Shane Gisberg, Cards, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Bob Walsh, Ross Chastain, Ryan Preece, Sam Mayer, Sheldon Creed, Cleese McFarland, Dodge Ram, Nice Motorsports, Frankie Muniz, Tony Breidinger, all the good stuff, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, all that we'll be talking about on the channel in the coming days and weeks. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.